In this video, I'll show you how to move the ball of clay to center it on the potter's wheel. Why do you use two hands to move the clay? Actually, I can move the clay with either hand. If you see I made a small hollow spot there, I can lift up the clay with just the heel of my hand. So I'm only touching the clay right there and it moves. The reason why you push on the opposite side is to prevent the clay from spinning or twisting. Also, when you have a bigger piece of clay, it really helps to use both hands. I can also move the clay with my other hand as well. If I put a fingertip on there and make a hollow spot and then lift my finger, I can move the clay. So when people tell me centering the clay is hard, I kind of don't believe it because I can move the clay with one finger. I'd like to show you something about pushing the clay back down again. There are about 3 ways to do everything that I'm showing you, and over time I'll show you every way I can think of. The way that you choose to do it is completely up to you. There's no correct way, but there's a way that is easiest for you. After you pick up the clay, you have to push it back down again, and there are 3 distinctly different ways of doing that. One way is to use the same part of the heel of your hand and just lay your thumb across the top of the lump of clay. And if I push in and down at the same time, I can put the ball of clay back where it was. Now, with a small piece of clay, I could do that with one hand. This hand, you generally want to put across your thumb. And in order to push the clay down, I don't push with my arm. I actually just lean over and use the weight of my body. Just put your shoulder over the top of the clay and it will push the ball of clay back down. So that's one way of doing it. In class, I probably showed you how to use your 2 hands separately first. This hand, I'm leaving my fingers out so you can see what part is touching the clay. Oftentimes my hand will look like this, but I'm not using my fingers. If you make a fist with your other hand and put it against the hand the clay is coming toward, you can push in and down at the same time. About half the class will probably end up pushing the clay down this way. There's one really important part to this though. Either way I do this, any way I do this, my hand is only covering half of the top of the piece of clay. If you put your whole hand on there, the clay will become dry right away and you've applied the force over too large of an area. In order to keep the clay from twisting, you only want to touch half of the top of the piece of clay. So you can see when I put my hand on there, my hand is touching from the edge to the center and not past. So don't put your fist all the way across the top like this. Your fist will start to follow the clay around and the clay will become irregular almost right away. Keep your fist or your thumb or the side of your hand from the center towards you. This is the last way that I'm going to show you. I use the side of my hand and the side of my hand. We call this the karate chop part of your hand. I have no idea what you really call it, but you can see that I can lay the hand across the back of my knuckles and again push down with your shoulder. It seems like I'm bending my wrist a lot, but I'm still applying the force right here, so it's not bad for my wrist. So 3 ways to push the clay back down again. One way with your fist, keep your hands together. Another way with your thumb across the top. Use your other hand to apply the force to your thumb. Your thumb is the tool, this hand is the power. And the third way is move your thumb out of the way. If you have a big piece of clay, this is probably what you're going to be doing, or this. Either way, you can move your hands back and forth with a larger piece of clay and center the clay by pushing in as well as down.